just finished some torchwood. That's not what I came to talk about today. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my final sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. Okay, so I'm going to give you the TLDR version first. Today, June 7th, 2021, is the last day I intend to do any sweaty thoughts entry and any blog post on the Time Treadmill, at least for the foreseeable future. Possibly ever, unless I get a sudden urge to resurrect it in some bizarre new way. But from where I'm sitting right now, I'm done, and that's a good thing. Now on to the long explanation. I do hope you'll hang out for it, but if you don't, totally cool. I respect you, and thank you so much. So way back in February of 2017, I had a bizarre idea. I felt fat and unhealthy and knew I needed to do something to change that. And I was staring at the huge collection of Doctor Who DVDs along the top of my TV unit, most of which I had never actually watched. I mean, I'd seen the majority of the episodes before, but I had been buying the DVDs as they came out and just not particularly getting around to watching them. And coincidentally, I also had a treadmill that my dear, sweet wife had purchased a couple years earlier, and which I had used a few times, but not with any regularity. And those three things all fused together in my brain, and I decided to create the Time Treadmill. The idea was to spend every day walking on the treadmill, watching the entirety of Doctor Who, and to blog about it every day. And for at least a year, I was laser focused on that project, and I dropped 70 pounds over the course of a year. It was incredibly successful. And in terms of Doctor Who, I watched stories that I had never ever seen before. Not only was I watching the DVDs that I had, but I watched streaming versions of episodes, or in the case of lost episodes, I watched loose cannon reconstructions of stories. And along the way discovered some stories that I had never even considered before that I absolutely adored. To this day, Marco Polo is, without question, my favorite First Doctor story. And I think it's probably going to be one of the last to ever be reconstructed via animation because of the massive number of locations and characters involved. It's just not a cheap story to reconstruct. But the fact is, over the course of 18 months, I watched all of Doctor Who itself, from the very beginning to, at that point, the 12th Doctor's goodbye. And then I cast about for something else to do, and I wound up watching all of the spin-off programs. I watched all of Blake's 7, which again was an amazing revelation for me. I had never seen it, and I'm so glad that I took the time to watch it. I watched a little show called Sapphire and Steel that was also incredible. But by the time I was getting around to November of last year, I had completely lost focus. I was looking for some new idea. And I decided to start over from the beginning again and watch all of Doctor Who, this time in air date order instead of watching all the series separately. So I would watch each thing in the order it was originally broadcast. And more importantly, instead of blogging about it every day, I would talk about it every day on this YouTube channel. And the idea behind that was that I wanted to gain experience talking to camera. And I also wanted to gain experience in how to create and edit video content. And my thought was, over the course of watching the whole series, I would get plenty of experience on both of those fronts. And I have. But now here's the downside. In the last 4.5 years, I have spent hours every day first working out and watching Doctor Who, and then recording these videos, writing blog posts, editing videos. On average, a solid 2 to 2.5 hours of my day, virtually every day, was spent on generating this content that, frankly, nobody cared about but me. And that's fine. I was doing this for a personal project. I wasn't expecting any kind of global critical acclaim or anything like that. But the fact remains that I was doing it for me, and at a certain point, I had to start reevaluating whether my commitment to completing this entire thing was worth the effort that I've been putting into it. And I came pretty close a couple of months ago to stopping, but then I decided to forge ahead and just finish the project as a completist. And that was fine for a while. But a little over a week ago, I did 2 episodes back to back that were just terrible. They weren't interesting. They weren't technically engaging. I was literally churning out 3 to 4 minutes of content for nobody, for no good reason, that I wasn't proud of. And honestly, it's difficult to come up with something interesting to say day after day after day. And in the last year and a half since I started doing these video blogs, I've created well in excess of 400 videos in a little over 500 days. I have on average published a new video to YouTube 4 out of every 5 days for going on 18 months now. And before that, I was composing a new blog post every day for almost a solid 2 years. For 4.5 years, my time has been consumed with this project to the exclusion of everything else. And the truth is, I have other creative things I want to do. Most importantly, I built this amazing sound booth that I'm in. And that was my early pandemic project. And I'm very proud of what I built. I love it in here. I've been inside this booth recording almost every single day for the last year. Except, again, what I've been recording is these videos. And what I really built the booth for was to be able to do voiceover work. And I did a bunch of submissions for work and didn't really get too terribly far with it. I've had a couple of paid professional gigs, but nothing noteworthy. And I went into it knowing that it would take a good deal of time to build up the experience and the reputation. And that's fine. That's part of the plan. As I've frequently said, voiceover is my dream retirement gig. This is what I want to be good at as I get closer to retirement and phase out of writing software every day and being concerned with a weekly salary. But I can't focus on the voiceover when I'm spending an extra 1.5 to 2 hours a day on this project that I could instead be focusing on actually creating demos and doing submissions for true paid voiceover work. And so that brings me up to about a week ago, after I did those 2 terrible videos. And my wife was out of town for a week taking care of family business. And I was here at the house by myself, and I made the decision to not record any videos for a week. Just take the time off and not let the pressure of generating this content push me. And you know what? I was happier. I was more relaxed. I was more confident. And that cemented in me the notion that I really need to be done with this project. Now, make no mistake, this project has kept me sane during this global pandemic. Having this to focus on every day as something while the rest of the world was falling to pieces, this gave me my little piece of solace. This gave me my little piece of focus and continuity and achievement, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for everyone who has come along for the ride. I'm especially grateful for my patient, long-suffering wife who has put up with this whole thing for 4.5 years now. I'm grateful to Chuck Rogers, who has always been my greatest supporter and booster, and I value his opinion and everything he's done for me over these last several years. And there's a couple other random viewers out there that have supported me and given me words of encouragement and comfort, and that's fantastic, and I thank you all. This has been a phenomenal experience. It's been one that I will never forget. Don't get me wrong, I'm not done walking on the treadmill and watching Doctor Who. See, the whole reason I started at this project was to create a structured way to force myself into a commitment to do it regularly every day. And that worked. And it continues to work. I crave getting on the treadmill and watching Doctor Who. It's just part of my daily life now. What I don't crave is editing a video where I have some half-hearted deep insights into Doctor Who. And sometimes I really do, and sometimes the stories are ones that really excite me and engage me. And sometimes they're just kinda eh. And that's the part of my life that I want to streamline, cut out, and get back to focusing on things that really, truly excite me. So that's it for me for Sweaty Thoughts. That's it for me on the time treadmill. I do have some notions about actually doing a one-man show monologue about this experience and putting it together, and there's a whole audio-visual aspect to it. And a lot of the skills that I've gained in the last year and a half with video editing and with After Effects and some other Adobe products will absolutely pay dividends there. That's where I'm going to focus my energy, and on voiceover work, and on maybe spending a little more time with my wife in the evening instead of hiding in this booth or hiding in the editing bay compiling video. So thank you all. This has been a magnificent experience. I appreciate every one of you who's come along for the ride. And I'm still around, so say hi sometime. But this is my final Sweaty Thoughts video, and this is me signing off, saying thank you again for everything. I love you, every single one of you, so much you have no idea. Goodbye.